Good morning, Chasm listeners. This is Ryan Rothstein, the Wildlife Habitat Specialist with the Stearns County Soil and Water Conservation District, and this is your weekly conservation report. Got a lot of different topics I want to cover today. Seems like winter doesn't quite want to let go outside the way things have been going lately, but there's no doubt we're quickly getting towards spring, and with spring comes all sorts of flurries of activity, whether that's work on the farm or getting back out in the woods, looking to do some turkey hunting or shed hunting. So I'll start off today talking about some tips for reducing your risk of nutrient loss due to snow melt. The vast majority of these instances happen in the month of March here, so it's important to be aware of that when you're out there spreading manure this spring. And according to the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, delaying manure application until later in the spring is your best bet for reducing the risk of runoff, but sometimes that can't be avoided. And when that's the case, it's always best to allow multiple days between land application and a potential rain or heavy snow melt event. So, if you're looking to apply manure, if you're a farmer at all, you're used to watching the weather. So sometimes it can just be as simple as keeping an eye on the weather and determining your best window for application. There are a number of online tools that can be useful for managing your spring manure applications. Minnesota Department of Agriculture has a runoff risk advisory forecast tool online that can be found on their website that can help you determine the best time to apply manure to a specific field within your operation. Minnesota also requires a 300-foot setback from surface waters and open tile intakes in order for manure to be applied onto frozen or snow-covered soil. And the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency website also has a lot of good information for manure management, especially as it pertains to this time of year. And if you need a little more specific assistance than that, you can either contact the county feedlot officer or you can contact folks here at the SWCD for some good solid technical advice on nutrient application this time of year. The next thing I want to talk about is the Minnesota Agricultural Water Quality Certification Program, or MAWQCP. Good chance that some of you listening have already become certified through this program. It's become fairly popular in recent years just for the regulatory certainty that it provides when it comes to any new water regulations. And in a new study, and something that may be of real interest to the folks that haven't applied for this yet, there was a recent 3-year study done showing net farm income differences between folks that were certified through MAWQCP and the overall farm average for net income over a 3-year period. And it's pretty fascinating to look at because on average over the past 3 years, folks that were certified through MAWQCP net income had an income that was anywhere from $17,000 to $40,000 higher on their operations on average than folks that were not. So there's some real economic benefits to be had from becoming certified through this program. And it's always good to evaluate, just how things are being managed and whether there's any areas that can help you improve your operation or improve your profitability overall. And MAWQCP could be a great way to do that because you get one-on-one technical service to really take a look at all of the practices you're implementing and ways that things could be done either more efficiently or provide a better bottom line for you. So this is something that I really think most operations should consider if they haven't. And we have numerous MAWQCP specialists here in the office. So getting in touch with our office is a great way to get started. There's no cost just to make the phone call and ask. Never hurts to try to get more information, and it's as simple as a phone call to the office. So the next thing I want to talk about here, it seems a long way away looking outside today, but turkey hunting is coming up real quick here. Season starts in mid-April in Minnesota. The opening day is April 12th, and there are still 6 different seasons. Each of them is a week long. So the overall season runs April 12th through May 31st. And with those 6 seasons, each one is a week long. The nice thing in most areas of the state now is that you can simply pick and choose when you want to go. Whenever you have time or whenever the weather looks best, you can buy your license prior to that season and just make that your hunting season. So with turkey season coming in on us real quick here, I just wanted to go over a few quick tips for turkey calling. I know this can be a real struggle for some people, and it's been for myself in the past, so it's a refresher for me as well. And the biggest thing, lesson number one, would be regarding overcalling. The biggest thing is to keep the bird engaged, but more often than not, less is more when it comes to turkey calling. If there's a tom already on its way to you, there's no need to keep calling at him in most cases. If he keeps getting closer and you can hear him gobbling, let him come to you. And if you can see him and he's still moving your way, be quiet and let him come. It always sounds good to hear them gobble, but if the difference is the turkey hanging up because you felt like continuing to call at him, or you be quiet and he comes in and ends up with a punch tag, I'll take the punch tag. The second lesson would be calling when a bird is out of sight. Usually it's going to be better to assume that a bird is on its way to you than it is to assume that they're not, because overcalling is usually one of the quickest ways to hang a bird up and have them not come within range for a shot opportunity. A lot of turkey hunters back in the day had a rule of yelping 3 to 5 times and then not calling again for anywhere from a half hour to an hour. And a lot of birds were killed this way, just by mostly being quiet and letting the birds come to you. They may not always gobble, but you know, if they show up and you still get to punch your tag at the end of the day, it doesn't much matter if you got turkey meat in the freezer. And then the next lesson would be bad calling. And I think everybody at some point within even a given year, but certainly within their turkey hunting career, is guilty of bad calling. And I think one of the most important things with this is being a good caller isn't necessarily all about how you sound. A lot of it has to do with knowing what you're saying, how you're saying it, and when you're saying it. And that's a huge part of being a good caller. There's a difference between knowing how to sound like a turkey and knowing what you're saying to those birds, whether you're trying to get them to come to you or you're trying to show excitement. There's a lot of different nuances that you can put into your turkey calling. And then the very last lesson that I wanted to talk about when it comes to turkey hunting is the cat and mouse game. You hear stories all the time about somebody setting up and calling at a turkey and the bird's just not coming in. And then they move after half an hour or so, and then they start calling again and the bird responds, but it's standing exactly where they just were. So in a lot of cases, the best rule of thumb can be that the least amount of calling you can get away with is the best rule of thumb. So sometimes that might be a lot of calling, sometimes it might be hardly any at all, but it's important that if you are going to move, if you're trying to set up differently on a bird, keep calling a little bit as you move to let that bird know that you're leaving him. Sometimes that can be all it takes to have that little psychological mind game with that bird to get him to keep moving your way. So that's all I've got for you this week. Hope everybody had a safe winter. Hope everybody's gearing up towards a fun spring and summer of getting back outside once all this snow melts. If you ever need to get a hold of us here at the office, we are still located in the Marketplace Mall in Wade Park next to Pizza Ranch. And if you ever need to get a hold of anybody at the office, whether you're looking to enroll in MAWQCP or you're looking for manure management techniques, or if you just want to talk about turkey hunting, you can get a hold of us at 320-251-7800, extension 3. And this has been Ryan Rothstein, Wildlife Habitat Specialist with the Stearns County Soil and Water Conservation District. And this has been your weekly conservation report.